Mr. Gavaskar, thanks so much for joining us once again, sir. Good to have you back on NDTV. First up, now when Virat and Rahane came together at the crease, India were down to 100 for 3, and realistically, the Indian innings could have pretty much gone either way from there. It could have gone downhill or it could have gone where it's gone now. And in that context, the 365-run stand was absolutely priceless, you would say.
Absolutely, because if you have a look at what happened in the first two test matches, India got starts but were not able to convert it into a substantial score, and that's exactly what Virat and Ajinkya Rahane corrected this time. They corrected to an extent that they had this massive partnership of 365, which has batted New Zealand out of the game. Now it's for the Indian bowlers to put their hands up and get another win for India in this test match as well.
Right, just to pick up from where you left off, Mr. Gavaskar, you're saying that the Kiwis have been batted out of this game?
Yes, I think batted out of the game in the sense that it's impossible now for the Kiwis to win this game unless there's some sort of a mini miracle. But they can still save the game because the pitch is still pretty good for batting. As we saw when the Kiwis came into bat, there's a bit of turn, but it's slow turn. Not the kind of turn that we had in Kanpur, not the kind of uneven sort of up and down bounce that we had at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. So this is a much better pitch to bat on, and I think the scores clearly suggest that and prove that it's a much better pitch to bat on.
Right, of course, when it comes to these two players, Mr. Gavaskar, we'll focus on Ajinkya Rahane in just a bit in particular detail. But before that, if you talk about someone like Virat Kohli, now we know that Virat is an immensely confident player. Like if you get confidence under his belt, then he of course goes on to make those big knocks. Now in that context, how big a confidence boost will this 211-run knock be for Virat, both the captain and the player?
Look, I think before he got the double 100 at Antigua, he was getting a lot of centuries. But apart from the 150 plus score that he got at Melbourne a year and a half ago, he hadn't been able to convert those hundreds into a big, massive, impactful innings. So I think this is what has happened over the last couple of months. The double 100 at Antigua, then a bit of a lean period, and now when he got going, getting to another double 100. I think that's a very, very good sign because it shows that the man's not going to be happy in the future with just 100. He knows that he can get at least a double 100, maybe more. So I think that's a very, very good sign. And when a captain starts to score runs, makes the contribution, massive contribution that he's expected to make, then his leadership also becomes that much more positive. His leadership also becomes a lot more fearless because he's not afraid to take decisions because nobody will be questioning him and asking him, listen, you're not scoring runs, but you're also taking these decisions. So I think both as a batsman and as a captain, this double century will be a huge, huge step and a huge, huge plus for Virat Kohli.
Absolutely. It's very, very important, of course, for a captain to lead by example, especially when it comes to a game like cricket, which is, of course, a team sport. Mr. Gavaskar, Virat Kohli had said recently, went on record to say that I don't think there's anything such as form. Now, when it comes to Virat and the way he plays, the fearless brand of cricket that he plays, we've seen that perhaps it's true for him. However, do you think that's also true for other great players? Because in the past, we've had so many great players who've gone through, say, prolonged lean patches. And the first thing that people say is that he's out of form. What is your take, sir, on form? Can a player be completely out of form, or is form just something that is mental?
Well, I think, form is the way you're batting, the way you're bowling. If you're a bowler, the way you're bowling. And I think you can sense that a player is maybe out of form by the way he's batting. If he's not middling the ball, if he's playing and missing, if the deliveries are hitting him on the pads or on the body, then you can say that he's not in form because that's not what you usually see. But when he starts to middle the ball, when he starts to get good balls away for runs, then he's back in form. So I suppose form is something that the spectators like to talk about. An individual always likes to believe, even if he's not getting runs, even if he's not getting wickets, the individual likes to believe in his ability, believes in his temperament to get back, and so therefore form to an individual perhaps does not matter as much as to the spectators and to the commentators, etc.
Right, Mr. Gavaskar, talking about the entire series, of course, the series was won earlier. Now, of course, India looking for a series whitewash, and yet there's been no let-up in the intensity as far as Team India is concerned. That is something that you will be happy with, because you in particular, sir, have always put a lot of emphasis on not letting the momentum go when you have the momentum. And in that context, you will be very happy with not just the way Virat and Rahane batted, but also the way Rohit Sharma batted, because that really was a sign of a confident team, not willing to let go of the momentum.
Yes, and I'm absolutely delighted about it. Delighted about the intensity and the positivity that the Indian team has shown over these 3 test matches. Because it's so important to get that momentum and keep it going. You know, momentum, you can slip just a little bit, and then to regain the momentum takes a little while. And therefore, to ensure that you do not slip in between, and to keep the momentum going is so important. And I think that is where the whole team ethos comes in, and that is a different ethos that we've seen from Virat Kohli as the leader and Anil Kumble now coming in as a coach. Both are massively intense, competitive people. Anil Kumble as a coach, and even when he played cricket, massively intense person. And so is Virat Kohli. And that intensity is now being transferred to the other members of the team. And therefore, when that starts to happen, then you get a team which is always looking to take the step forward and not even looking to stay still. That's so important. Apart from not taking a step backwards, they don't want to stand still. They want to go forward. And that is something which I'm absolutely delighted with.
Right, Mr. Gavaskar, what would you say is Ajinkya Rahane's biggest strength? Is it perhaps his ability to gauge the situation and the conditions rather well, regardless of where he's playing, be it at Lord's or at the Kotla?
Yes, I think his adaptability as well, because he's adapted to all conditions. He's got runs in every single country that he's played in. He's scored runs in England, scored runs in Australia, South Africa, Bangladesh, and even in New Zealand. So I think he's perhaps India's most complete batsman at this stage. And as you said, he's Mr. Dependable. When India is in trouble, Ajinkya Rahane is the one who plays the innings, who plays the kind of knock. And along with somebody else, he takes the team to safety. So clearly, I think you're very right in saying that he is India's Mr. Dependable.
Right, we just have about 30 seconds left, and I want to squeeze in one last question on Rahane, and that is, of course, we know what a great work ethic Rahane has, but there's no flashy business about him. In that context, would you say that sometimes perhaps Rahane is underrated as a player?
Yes, I think he's underrated, because when in a team, when you have somebody like a Virat Kohli, somebody like a Rahane will invariably be just that a little bit forgotten. But I think only by the others. I think Virat himself would be the first one to accept that without Rahane's batting in the matches so far, not just in this game, India would have been struggling. So I think when you have acceptance in the dressing room, when you have your captain's faith, then I think the player is satisfied. The player knows that he's contributing, and Rahane is also, like Virat Kohli, not going to be satisfied with what he's done so far. He'll want to go forward, and that again is wonderful news for Indian cricket.